This video isn't sponsored by Long Drink, but I'm telling you right now, they're near and dear to my heart. Oh yeah. Okay, so why should anybody watch another documentary about the Beatles or a Beatle when we already have heard the story a million times? We know pretty much everything we need to know or wanted to know about every Beatle and the whole situation. Well, I'm gonna tell you why you should watch Paul McCartney, Man on the Run. So Oscar-winning director Morgan Neville directs Paul McCartney, Man on the Run, which comes out at the time of this recording, March 2026 on Prime. And it focuses on the challenging, transformative period of the 1970s when McCartney was establishing his solo career and reinventing himself after the Beatles. It also gives us an in-depth look at his relationship with Linda and their family. So here's the first point I want to make. It really gets driven home in this documentary at how likable Paul is. Not just likable, but also happy-go-lucky. Okay, is David Bowie going to pick him as his favorite Beatle? No, because he's not dark enough. I mean, we all love Black Star. That's not a Paul. I can't imagine Paul McCartney listening to Black Star. Maybe he does, I don't know. But Paul's the guy who writes silly love songs, right? And so there's a certain kind of mood that comes with that, or an attitude. And you would, I think, in life, that's really the way you want to be, right? Just water rolling off a duck's back, you know? And he seems so happy-go-lucky, going through all these things, the breakup of the Beatles, John's death, finding his voice, his family, his wife dying, all of these things happening in the 1970s and, I don't know, maybe early 80s. I can't remember exactly when all the other things took place. But in order to go through something like that and to do it with this silly attitude, I really had an appreciation for him as a human being who is silly. The other thing that I think is incredible watching this, and I've always been a huge Wings fan, and it talks about mostly Wings and his solo career, the McCartney 1, 2, 3, or whatever. But how incredible is it that he basically achieved the impossible twice? Now, it's not fair to say that the second time because he's a Beatle and pretty much anything they do is going to be gold. I mean, Jim Carrey is a painter, and he's going to sell paintings whether they're shit or not because he's Jim Carrey. And I like Jim Carrey. I don't really know that I've ever seen his paintings. But do you know what I'm saying? Like, Paul McCartney is going to get stuff on the charts just because he's Paul McCartney. But to achieve all of the songs he did, to hit gold like this twice, to achieve that holy grail twice, is so amazing. I mean, let's go through the list, shall we, of Wings and solo McCartney songs that he did after the Beatles breakup, right? Band on the Run, Live and Let Die, Jet, Silly Love Songs, My Love, Let Me Roll It, Coming Up, Mull of Kintyre, and on and on. I mean, it's incredible, right? And you watch this documentary and I'm thinking to myself, it's slowly winning me over. Because at the beginning I am thinking myself, I don't know if I want to watch another Beatles thing. Like, I've already been through the catalog. I know everything. I've been on several Beatles kicks in my life, you know, where I had Paul posters or John, whatever, you know, just didn't man crush on these guys. But it's slowly winning me over, and it's really doing a great job of setting up how difficult it is for him to think about the fact that, you know, the Lennon-McCartney era is such a huge one for everyone, not just for the Beatles, and that he's putting himself out there, and he knows that they're going to listen to his records and opine on it in public, whether they're friendly or chatty or not. He's going to have to, you know, live with those reactions or be able to absorb them. So the pressure, I can only imagine, is intense. And just thinking about when he starts to hit gold, when he starts to hit these songs, you know, that I just listed off, he's got to be thinking to himself, I'm fucking doing it. I'm doing it. And that energy, that positive energy comes through in the documentary. The other thing I want to say is that, I mean, Paul seems to me like the kind of guy who can take his kids on stage and not just get through it, but like actually enjoy it. Like in so many clips, he's got his face painted next to his daughter and they're all having fun and he brings his wife on. Like, who does that? You were in the Beatles and now you're going to start a band with your wife who, let's face it, can't really sing that well. I mean, I'm sure she was a lovely person, but, you know, she has a voice, you know, and it's probably better than most voices, but it's not a Beatles voice. A Beatle can get whoever they want. But he didn't give a shit. You know, he's just out there doing stuff that's fun. And this circles back to the thing about him being like a happy-go-lucky, silly love song kind of guy. That takes a special kind of person, you know, like someone who takes himself seriously, but also is able to mingle amongst the pub crowd and not take themselves so seriously. I don't know. I just got this overwhelming sense of silliness that I thought was essential to his life and the beautiful relationship he had with his family. And it rubs off on you, and you kind of want to do that. I mean, nobody really wants to emulate like a sourpuss, right? A curmudgeon. I mean, some people do, I guess. Larry David's a good curmudgeon to model yourself after because he's funny. But I don't know if that's a way to live. Whereas this feels like a really healthy way to live. You know, the guy's going through this relationship with Linda, and both of their moms died when they were 14. They mentioned in the documentary, which I didn't know that. And that's why family was so important to them, because they knew it could go at any moment. And that's the thing right there, isn't it? That we forget, is that it can go at any moment. We love films. We're talking about films. You're here because you love films. You're here because maybe you don't love films, but you love Paul McCartney or the Beatles. But it can all go away. And each day is precious. Every breath, every long drink, everything we do is precious. And that idea of watching a family who's not only like understanding that, but practicing that gratitude is really amazing. And I just want to say that I know that after John died, Paul took a little bit of flack. In other documentaries you see where like they're asking him, how do you feel? You know, what's your reaction to John dying? And Paul's just, he gets framed as being kind of aloof and kind of cold. And he just goes, hey, what a drag, huh? And Sean Ono Lennon, if that's the right way to say it, Sean Lennon, I'm sorry if I messed that up, beautifully puts it into perspective and says, no way is that cold. I'm seeing a guy who lost his brother, and he knows that if he talks about it for too long, if he doesn't stay sort of distant from the reporter and the people who are asking about his brother, he's gonna lose it. And you can see it on his face. And the way he described it was so beautiful, because you can see everything in his face the way Sean Lennon is describing it. It's so beautiful. Sean Lennon is really an interesting person. He has a lot of commentary in this, and it's really interesting to hear his perspective, that one in particular. But he seems like someone who's so intelligent about the different types of behaviors that humans experience, but also humans in a Beatles context experience. Okay, so I loved it. I thought it was great. That's the second one I've seen in the last few years. Get Back was the last one I had seen, and I loved Get Back. But again, Get Back is kind of like a negative thing in a way. Like, you get to see Paul like creating songs, and you get to see things that are happening. It really made me love the rooftop concert. This one feels like it's love. Like, it's truly love that they talked about, that they always wanted to get that point across about. It's all about love. This really felt like love. Sometimes love in the face of loneliness and, I don't know about desperation, but like challenge and transformation and change and how hard it is. And it felt like you were just going along the ride with him. I thought it was a beautiful documentary. You know, I'm not going to watch too many more Beatles stuff. This is one of those things that I think you should watch if you'd like a unique perspective on a particular thing about a Beatle in the context of the Beatles, of course. Paul McCartney, Man on the Run, love it, fantastic. Let Me Roll With It ends it. It's a perfect ending. You know, all the stars for that guy. I would love to see him in concert or meet him. I don't know if anybody has any experiences like that, but I've been thinking about that lately, about really got to get out there and see more concerts and stuff, because these how long are they going to be around, you know? So let me know what you thought of the documentary, if you've seen it, if you had a Paul McCartney experience to share. Man, put it below. I'd love to hear it. Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney.